We were living in Bergen County in North Jersey, and my father was a commuter to New York City. He was a sales executive in New York. My brother, older brother, had moved down here as part of a job opportunity and had a couple of grandchildren for my father. So we began to come down, at that time, the new turnpike to commute to see the grandkids. And my father discovered that he could commute from Princeton Junction Rail Station a lot more humanly than commuting by bus from Bergen County. And the fact that my father was, as a hobby, was involved in a lot of gardening activity, particularly rose bushes and other I guess you call them exotic kind of plants. We lived on a 50 by 100 city lot up in Ridgefield, and he could come down here and get an acre of ground and be able to pursue his interest in gardening. So that was the impetus to sell and move down to Plainsboro, New Jersey. I was a sophomore in high school. It was a dramatic change for me. I moved into a town that was 1,200 people and about 2,000 cows. And the loudest thing you heard at night was occasionally a train going by in the main line or a cow bellowing in the cow pasture next to us. And at first week or two, I couldn't sleep at night because I was used to the buses going by on Route 9 in Ridgefield. So it was quite an interesting experience to come down here, but I adjusted fairly quickly. I married a Plainsboro girl that was actually born and raised here in Plainsboro, born in a farmhouse in Plainsboro, not in a hospital. I said it so many times, I met her when she was riding horseback up Plainsboro Road, and that's true. I got married when I was early 20s. She had a friend where she worked that had an apartment in Princeton to rent. And she knew we were going to get married, so she actually saved the apartment for us. And which was a great opportunity for us because she gave us a reasonable rent and a beautiful apartment on Jefferson Road in Princeton. Lived there for 6 years, had 2 kids, and my father passed away, and we moved back into Plainsboro. Kids were in school, and I did what most fathers do with young kids. I got involved in a number of different activities in the community. Fire company, Lions Club, Little League, all the things you do as a new parent. Late 60s was the advent of the development pressure in the state of New Jersey. And the development pressure didn't bypass Plainsboro. So they were considering a major development here in Plainsboro. That's the Linpro development. I was a voice out there of objecting because I thought that when you looked at Plainsboro Township, it had a lot of potential. It had a lot of open space, a lot of opportunities for preservation, and cried for a good planning. So that interested me. It stimulated my interest, and I began to go to meetings and become that pain in the neck guy that was out there saying that you should have an understanding of what you're approving, what the ramifications and impacts of that are, and you should be doing a comprehensive plan for the community. I was somewhat ignored, actually, and maybe mumbled under their breath about me, but they got used to me over time. Because I couldn't really penetrate the ruling people here in Plainsboro at the time, I became involved politically. Involved first running twice in primaries, lost both times, to the sitting mayor by 7 votes and to a committee person by a small number of votes. And as a result, got involved and became very knowledgeable about people in the community and generated a lot of support in a very small community here. I found a path to elected office by running at an annual meeting, it was, for the town council, running from the floor and getting elected to town council. And they began to provide recommendations to the sitting township committee that they'd prefer not to hear. And over the period of 3 years, I ultimately wound up as president of that council. One member of the committee, who was a friend, token Democrat because it was Republican controlled. And he decided that he was, because of health, I think, that he wanted to step down. He conditioned stepping down on them appointing me to replace him. And I guess they were kind of worn out by that time with me and decided maybe better co-opt me and bring me on board. So I became an appointed member of the Township Committee in 1975 and ran that year and was elected, and I've been running ever since. I think it was in 1979 when I first became mayor. So I recall my first opportunity to address the community. I mentioned the town council, which they would meet every year, and they would have an annual meeting. And it was interesting. It was kind of a throwback to the old New England form of government. And they functioned purely in an advisory capacity. But it was traditional that during that annual meeting that the mayor would come before the council and the residents. And the meetings were well attended. And I spoke about the challenges that we faced, and the challenges were many. We had approved development and had become one of the fastest growing communities in the state of New Jersey as a result of that approval. But it had to be dealt with, and we couldn't turn our back on that. So I said we have a lot of challenges. We haven't provided the infrastructure, we haven't provided the roads, we haven't provided the services. We had practically no structure here as far as government was concerned. But the biggest challenge, I said, that we have is to recognize that we're a developing community. New people are coming to this community, and we want to make sure we come away with a community that is a welcoming community, not an assembly of pieces, but a true community. And that's kind of the message that I've kind of carried forward over many transitions. The more recent transition is we have an influx now. The demographics of Plainsboro have changed totally. One of the things I'm most proud of is the fact we've remained that welcoming community. And I talk about it every time I get a chance. I'm transitioning now. We have a new mayor. He's not new, he's 28 years here, I think, as an elected official and a good friend of mine and somebody that I want to certainly support through this process. I've been going through all my old files, trying to declutter my old former office with 53 years worth of stuff. You can imagine, plaques and all the other memorabilia that I have. Challenge. But in going through that, I see all this stuff. I guess if you'd asked me the key things that stick out to me, the implementing a community-wide plan, a balanced master plan for the community. But then, there's so many other things. I mean, preserving 50% of the town in open space, having a 1,000-acre nature preserve, an environmental education center here in town. Basically, if you were around in the early 70s and you saw what was going to happen by way of development here, an influx of people, new people into the community, we didn't have Scudder's Mill Road. Can you imagine this community without Scudder's Mill Road? And that was a priority of mine when I came into office as mayor. So we were able to get the funding, and they said it couldn't happen, but it did. We were able to get the funding and basically cut the ribbon on Scudder's Mill Road to provide, some of the needed infrastructure here. We built 2 libraries in Plainsboro. When I got involved, we were operating out of a one-room schoolhouse as a library that served as a police station, a library, a meeting place for scouts. It was open not very often. And there were good people that were trying to provide the service to the community, but it was inadequate for what was going to happen in this community. So basically we lobbied to create a municipal library system here. We built a new library as part of a municipal complex to house our folks that needed to be housed and have a library. And then when that became inadequate for the needs of the community, we built a 34,000 square foot library. And that's serving us well to this day. So it's those kind of things. Everything that you see infrastructure-wise, everything you see as far as governmental structure, that stuff has happened during the period of time that I was here. And I've been involved in practically all of it. I don't say that to try to take credit for it, because the credit belongs to a bunch of people, not just me. but a bunch of good people that have worked to make it happen. What I hope they look back on basically is the fact that we've created here a welcoming community, one that basically people feel good about each other, and more than that, we created a community that works. It's a community that's been recognized as one that's a great place to live, to work, and raise a family. So if there's something that I hope they remember, it's what we've created. And I hope that stimulates them to make sure they continue to put people in charge that follow through on that in the future. That they elect people whose focus is the community and providing for that community and providing the kind of welcoming community that we all want.